What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. For today's review we have the cheapest IP68 certified smartphone. This one is called the Z6 and it only costs about $60, so very cheap. But is it really waterproof? Well, I've had it in water on a couple of occasions and it still works, as you can probably see. So yeah, a device that's waterproof for about $60. For specs, we have a MediaTek 6580 CPU. This is a quad-core CPU clocked at 1.3 GHz. We also have 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB of internal storage, and the device is running Android 6. The phone is mostly made out of plastic, however it doesn't feel cheap, so it doesn't feel like a phone that costs only about $60. On the sides we have some metal and that gives it a more premium feel and look. But for a phone that has a 4.7 inches screen, it is rather large, so it is a bit difficult to actually use this phone holding it in one hand. Let's start with the back. So on the back you're gonna find the 5 megapixel camera. We also have a flash and, believe it or not, we even get a fingerprint scanner. Surprisingly enough, the fingerprint scanner it's accurate 9 out of 10 times. I'm gonna say, however, it's not the fastest out there. So all you have to do is touch the fingerprint scanner and the phone will unlock. But as I said, it's not the fastest. And lastly, on the back, all the way at the bottom, you're gonna find the speaker. Now, the speaker doesn't get that loud, but that's quite normal for a phone this cheap. But keep in mind that it is very easy to actually cover the speaker whenever you're holding the phone like this. And of course, the speaker is pointing away from you every time. The sides of the phone are covered by metal and that kind of gives the phone a more premium look and feel. On the sides there we also have some type of rubber bumpers that will protect the device if you drop it. On the right hand side you're also going to find the power button and the volume keys, and these ones are made out of plastic, and on top you're going to find the 3.5mm audio jack. The audio port is covered by a rubber flap, and that flap is very difficult to actually remove, so you're going to have to put some pressure to actually take it off. On the other side of the phone we have the slot for the SIM card, and this device can take either 2 SIM cards or a SIM card and an SD card. And of course, since we are talking about SD cards, you can easily install an SD card as internal storage. As for the internal storage, out of that 8 gigs that comes with this device, we only have about 4.5 free. However, the speeds that I got for the internal storage are among the lowest that I've seen for any smartphone. And moving all the way to the bottom of the device, there you're gonna find a micro USB charging port. This port is also covered by a rubber flap. Since that micro USB charging port is placed so deep inside the device, you're not going to be able to use all micro USB cables. So you're going to have to use the cable that comes with this device because that one is longer. I can't say for sure if this phone supports OTG or if it doesn't, because that micro USB charging port is so deep in there that I wasn't able to reach it with any USB stick. As for the charging, well, the phone doesn't support fast charging and it will take you about 3 hours and 10 minutes to fully charge this device from 0 to 100. And since the battery life is directly related to charging, inside this device we have a 3000 mAh battery. Now the battery life is not great by any means, so you're going to be able to make it through an entire day and get about 2 hours and 45 minutes of screen on time. So definitely not great battery life. On the front, starting at the top, we have an LED notification light, and I wasn't actually expecting to have a notification light on this device. We also have the speaker and a 2 megapixel front-facing camera. The picture quality from the front-facing camera leaves a lot to be desired. However, considering the price of the device, I think the picture look okay enough. The 4.7-inch screen has a resolution of 720p, so basically like an iPhone. Now we have humongous bezels all around the screen, and I guess that makes the phone larger than it should be. The viewing angles are decent, the colors are kind of washed out unfortunately, and the screen doesn't seem to get that bright, so whenever you're gonna take this device outside, it's gonna be a bit difficult to actually see the screen. The screen sensitivity, it's not spectacular, so you're gonna find yourself typing the same letter 2 or 3 times at times, and you can touch the screen in 5 places in the same time and the screen will register. So yeah, the screen sensitivity, it's not the absolute best. But on the bright side we have some type of scratch resistant glass covering the screen, and of course I try scratching the screen and it doesn't seem to get scratched that easily. And lastly, just underneath the screen we have the home button, the return key and the menu button. So that's a menu button, that's not a multitasking button, and I don't know why they do that, but it's definitely annoying. So to actually open multitasking you have to hold the home button pressed for a couple of seconds. For performance, don't expect anything crazy from that MediaTek 6580. So of course the scores that I got on the Antutu benchmark and the Geekbench 4 are kind of low, but again that's pretty normal for that CPU. Using Chrome it's done decent enough, but again don't expect that much from that CPU. So you can still zoom in, zoom out, scroll up, scroll down, but the phone doesn't go totally smooth. On the YouTube app, the maximum resolution that you can select is 720p. However, all the videos that I watched at 720p resolution seem to go very smooth and much better than a lot of other phones that I've seen in the past. So a plus for the YouTube app. As for gaming, well, if you don't have any expectations, you're gonna be surprised. You're still gonna be able to play some games on this device, and games like Real Racing 3, Asphalt 8, of course, they're gonna be dropping a frame here and there, but overall you can still play games on this device. The GPS unit inside this phone works much better than I was expecting, so it finds your location within a second or two and it doesn't seem to get disconnected. And of course, using Google Maps also works very well, so quite surprising. As for sensors, well, even though the device says that has a whole bunch of sensors, I don't believe that most of them work. And one of those ones that don't actually work, it's the gyroscope. So even though it shows that we have a gyroscope, it doesn't actually seem to work. And we are moving to connectivity. So first of all, call quality. The call quality is great, but I wish the speaker on top here would be a bit louder because it doesn't seem to be that loud. The phone can connect to 3G networks and 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi bands. Now the speeds that I got over 3G and the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi bands are decent, but not the best that I've seen. And we are moving to the 5 megapixel camera that's on the back of this device. So first of all, the camera app, it's the same MediaTek camera app that we've seen in the past. It's not that slow, but not that fast either. It's decent, I would say. But again, like most MediaTek camera apps that we've seen in the past, we don't really have that many options or features in there. However, there is a HDR mode available, but whenever you're taking pictures in the HDR mode, well, the camera app, it's very slow. As for the picture quality, well, considering the phone costs only $60, I think the picture quality is decent. I mean, for the pictures that you're gonna take in daylight. Some pictures turn out quite crisp and with a lot of detail, but again, not all of them, and considering the price of the phone, I think they're more than decent. Now, if you're gonna take any pictures in low light conditions, well, you're better off if you don't take any pictures, because all the pictures that you're gonna take in low light conditions, they are not usable, so you cannot see anything in any picture that it's taken in low light conditions. The Z6, it's using Android 6, but the company decided to use the ugliest skin ever made. So yeah, the skin is just horrible that they have on top of that Android 6, and I'm not sure why they chose to use that skin. Even with that super ugly skin and that underpowered MediaTek 6580, the phone still performs rather good. So switching between screens, opening new apps, closing apps, everything is done in a decent enough time, and I can't really complain considering the price of the phone. The settings app doesn't look as bad as the UI, but it doesn't look that amazing either. However, it's much better than the UI. So the settings app, it's fairly simple. We have some added features in there. Some of the features are smart features, as they call them, but realistically, nobody's actually gonna use any of those features. So if you only have $60 and you want a phone that's waterproof, this could be it. I mean, it's not the most performant phone out there. The camera is not the greatest. Battery life, it's not the greatest. Everything is basically average. But for $60, that's what you get, average. And realistically, you cannot buy a device from Samsung for $60. And if you would be able to buy a $60 Samsung device, it would probably be much worse than this one. So this is the Z6, and I think that it works pretty good for its price. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.